My beloved child, there is no moment left to waste. This is not the time for you to keep scrolling, to let your thoughts drift among worries and unfinished plans. Nor is it the time to search for more reasons to delay. What stands before you is not a gentle option or an appealing decision. This is the final threshold, the place where your destiny is placed directly in the hands of God, the one who has always seen you, always guarded you, and always waited for your heart to return to Him. And now, the heavens are calling you to respond. Not tomorrow, not when you feel more at ease, not when the fear inside you finally settles. This call is for this very moment, an appointed time written into the design of heaven long before you ever knew pain, confusion, or the wounds that shaped your life. I have seen it all, says the Lord God, and I know how exhausted you have become from trying to fight on your own. I know the nights you have stayed awake, the moments you forced yourself to keep going while your heart felt like it was unraveling, and even the sighs you no longer dared to lift toward heaven. This waiting has lasted so long not because I wanted you to suffer, but because the time has come for me to pull you out of the darkness where you have remained for far too long. Today, I send you a wake-up call. This is not a rebuke but a loving warning, a final reminder wrapped in boundless mercy. The invisible chains that once bound you, the shadows that made you believe you were abandoned, are now being broken apart link by the power of the Most High. Not with thunderous noise, but through the quiet, forceful intervention of heaven. The lies that once clung to your heart, the voices that made you believe you were not enough, not worthy, not chosen, must fall silent before me today. Heaven did not send me to seek glory for myself. I have come because you need me. I have come because no other presence can rescue you from the depths to which you had fallen. I have come because my love for you has surpassed every barrier, every excuse, every wall you have built around yourself. And just as I have arrived at the appointed time, you too are being called at this exact moment. You are not here by accident in the midst of these unfolding events. You have a purpose, a calling, a journey I authored long ago, and today is the moment you are awakened to step into it. My child, do not forget this truth, even when your natural eyes cannot see me, even when every sense within your body fails to perceive me. I am still right here, closer than your own breath, nearer than the deepest tremors of your soul, not far away, not observing from a distant heaven, but present in the very room where you sit. In the moment you believe you are completely alone, I am whispering to you, opening before you what I have prepared all this time. This is not merely an invitation. This is a door I myself have opened by my power, and I am calling you to step through it before it closes under the weight of hesitation that darkness wants to plant in your heart. I know you feel small. I know there are moments when you think your voice is not loud enough, your prayers not strong enough, or your weakness is the reason I would turn away from you. But those are lies the enemy wants you to accept. In truth, I have heard every broken breath, every tear, every bowed head filled with despair. Nothing about you is meaningless to me, and in the moments when you are at your weakest, I am even closer. I long for you to understand that my presence does not depend on your strength, but on my own mercy. Today, I extend my hand toward you, calling you to rise and step into the light I have prepared for you. You may think you are not ready, but I know the time has fully ripened. You may think you need more time, but heaven knows that if you wait any longer, your heart will again be buried by the darkness that seeks to swallow it. My beloved child, this is the moment you must answer, not with perfection, but with willingness. Not with might, but with trust. My beloved child, the moment you are stepping into is not an accident, nor is it a random interruption drifting across your life. This is a moment divinely appointed, crafted with meticulous care, a sacred imprint I inscribed for you long before you ever felt the first beat of your heart. You may feel your soul drowning in the swirl of noise, in layers of responsibilities, or in nameless worries. You may feel as though you are walking through a world that is always in a hurry, always demanding, always pulling you in a dozen different directions. Yet, in the midst of all of this, I am placing my hand upon your soul and drawing you out of the chaos in a single breath, not to punish you, but so you can finally hear what the deepest part of you has longed for through the years, even when you could not fully understand it. I know there are moments when you believe you are strong, but a small disturbance can make the entire world inside you feel as though it is collapsing. I know there are times you try to hide your exhaustion behind a smile, even as your heart cries out from being overwhelmed. I know there are days when you wish you could disappear from everything, because you fear that if you take even one more step, your strength will run dry. I know it all, every worry, every tear, every sigh you swallow when no one is watching. And because I know, I have chosen this moment to bring you into a quiet place where only you and I exist. My child, let your heart settle for a moment. I am opening for you a space untouched by the world, a place where restlessness must grow silent and where your heart can finally breathe. This moment is my invitation for you to pause, to understand that in the midst of everything surrounding you, there is one who sees you clearly, even at the very edge of your weariness. I reach toward you not with harsh commands, but with a gentleness strong enough to heal the places you have not dared to touch. I am building a bridge between heaven and your heart, a bridge no broken season in your life can destroy. Do you know why I do this? Because I see the weight you carry, a weight far heavier than anyone else realizes. I see the hidden battles in your mind, the struggle against your own doubts, the wounds of old memories, the words that once made you believe you were not good enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. And I know how hard you have tried to remain standing, to keep loving, to keep hoping, even when you think no one understands. I do. Even when you feel unbearably alone, I have not left your side for even a single heartbeat. I bring you into this moment to tell you that you do not need to keep holding everything together. You do not need to manage every burden alone, nor pretend to be strong in order to hide your pain. I do not love you because you are steady. I love you even when you tremble. You do not need to be better, more perfect, or more capable for me to care for you. You only need to open your heart a little, and I will step in and carry the weight you have been bearing for far too long. This moment, my child, is when I draw near to remind you that your soul has never been forgotten. I come to acknowledge the battles you endured in silence, the wounds you hid, and the moments you believed you had lost your way. I do not come to point out your failures or scold your weakness. I come to lift you out of the shadows, to show you that none of your pain has ever been meaningless in my sight. You may not realize it, but every step you take, every tear you shed, every time you rise again, each one touches my heart. I do not come to teach you to be stronger. I come to show you that you were never meant to be strong alone. I am building a path for you to walk into the light, a place where you can rest in my embrace, where every burden can finally be laid down, where you can breathe fully without fear of being wounded again. My child, let me tell you this, you are precious to me far more than you have ever imagined. I see the potential within you, even when all you see are your limitations. I see the faith flickering in you even when you believe you are running empty. I see the light in you even when you deny its existence. And I am here to rekindle it, to remind you that you are called into a journey far more beautiful, deeper, and stronger than what you are currently walking through. My beloved child, there is something truly precious I desire to place into your heart, a grace that does not announce itself loudly, nor seek attention, yet holds the power to transform the way you see life and the way you move forward. It is a profound stillness, not the kind of silence that frightens you, but a holy quietness capable of soothing the hidden anxieties that have weighed on you for so long. It is like a gentle stream flowing through the barren desert of your soul, refreshing every dry and weary place within you, bringing them back to life. I long to bring you a peace no storm can touch, a rest no burden can steal from your hands, and a healing no wound can hinder. You have faced many forms of darkness, some that came from the outside, and others that only you know you wrestled with in secret. You have walked through days when it seemed the light would never return, and through nights in which you wondered how much longer you could endure. I have seen it all, and for that very reason, I am granting you a protection stronger than any threat, any fear, or any shadow that has ever pressed upon your shoulders. This covering does not come from your own strength, but from my power, from my heavenly arms surrounding you like a fortified wall that no force can penetrate. I want you to know this. There is a sacred awareness I am planting deep within your soul. It is an inner steadiness that rises above fleeting emotions, above the shifting circumstances of life, above the exhaustion that once made you feel as though you might collapse. It is something no trial can weaken, no lie can distort, and no failure can erase. It is a quiet but unshakable strength, a resilience born from my sustaining hand, not from your own will or ability. My child, if you choose to stay through this moment, if you do not run because of fear, do not retreat because of your past, do not withdraw because you think you are unworthy, I will give you a gift small in appearance but sacred in nature. It is not something material, nor a miracle that changes everything in an instant, but something received only by those who seek me from the depths of their being. It is the grace that makes your heart feel light, as though a long-carried burden has finally slipped from your shoulders. It is the breath of peace you thought you would never experience again. It is the release from the pains you have carried for so long that you almost believed they were part of your identity. The challenges that have weighed on your mind, the things that kept you awake, the tears you cried in silence, the moments you felt the world was leaving you behind, will begin to lose their power as you stand in my presence. You do not need to fight them through your own efforts. Let them fade as my light reaches them. Let them fall away over time like chains that no longer fasten to you. I do not want you to continue living with the belief that you must push yourself further just to survive. I want you to learn to release what has completed its purpose, those wounds that taught you endurance, those delays that taught you hope, and those tears that taught you dependence on me. There are things that have held your steps for many years, keeping you from moving forward in freedom. But my child, I tell you now they will release you, not by your effort to untangle them, but by my power to set you free. You no longer need to return to old crossroads, old memories, or old fears that once made you feel small and helpless. When I deliver you, nothing will be able to hold you anymore. Not your past, not the words of others, not your circumstances, not their judgment, and not even the inner limitations you once believed defined you. When the worries within you begin to settle like the night sea growing calm beneath the quiet glow of the moon, you will begin to recognize something miraculous. You are changing, not in a loud or dramatic way, not through some dazzling sign, but through a peace that sinks deep into your very bones. You will begin to feel a new strength, one that does not come from empty confidence, but from knowing you are held by the one who never fails. This strength will lift you when you are weary, steady you when you tremble, and draw you back toward the light whenever your mind tries to slip into old shadows. My child, the road ahead does not demand perfection from you. It only asks that you bring yourself your wounds, your weaknesses, your dreams, and every unanswered question so that I may do the rest. The new strength I give you is not so you can march forward with arrogance, but so your heart may know that no matter what unfolds, You will never walk alone. So stay here in this moment. My child, do not rush. Do not fear. Do not assume that goodness is reserved for others and not for you. I am opening my hand before you, and in that hand lies the gift I have long prepared, protection that never leaves, peace that overflows, and an inner strength capable of guiding you through every chapter yet to come. My beloved child, I now place before you an invitation, not a demand, not a rigid command, but a sacred decision only you can make. I do not force your heart, nor do I pull you toward me by coercion. I simply offer a gentle yet powerful question. Do you desire to come nearer to me? Will you open that small door in your heart so my light may enter and fill the corners you have kept hidden for so long? This moment is extraordinary, not because it resounds loudly, but because its meaning runs deep. It is like the instant a seed chooses to break open so a tender sprout may emerge small to the eye. Yet it changes its destiny forever. When I invite you into this moment, I do not ask you to bring anything grand. I do not require you to prove yourself good enough, strong enough, or worthy enough. I only ask for one simple action, one that expresses your trust. It might be a whispered response, a quiet nod of the heart, a moment where you let go of old fears, a small decision, yet strong enough to open an entirely new path. I am not asking you to take long strides. I am asking you to move one step toward me, even if that step trembles, even if it carries tears, even if uncertainty clings to it. I look not at perfection in your action, but at sincerity in your heart. My child, do you know why I ask you for this decision? Because there are things I can only give to those who are willing to open their hearts. I cannot fill a vessel that is sealed shut. I cannot breathe life into a place whose doors are locked by fear, shame, or memories that make you doubt my love for you. Your decision, however small, will be the key that unlocks every barrier the darkness has built around you. I do not need your strength. I only need your honesty. You do not need to come to me as someone who has everything in order. You need only come as you are tired, wounded, fragile, yet still hoping. That is more than enough for me. What I seek is not your excellence, but your willingness. When I ask, will you come closer? I am speaking to your heart, not your body. I am asking whether you dare to believe that my love is greater than your fear, that the plans I have designed for you reach farther than any dead end you have faced, that what I am about to do in your life does not depend on the past you suffered, but on the future I long to place in your hands. The action I invite you to take is simple. Let me know you are ready. Ready to stop running after yourself. Ready to stop blaming yourself. Ready to receive what I am bringing, an inner renewal that nothing in this world can compare to. You do not need many words, nor a long explanation, nor some grand gesture. A quiet response in your heart is enough to move heaven itself on your behalf. It seems small, doesn't it? And yet, in the larger picture I am painting, the moment you nod is the beginning of an entire journey of transformation. It is like the first glow of dawn, small, but it ushers in a whole new day. Like the first drop of rain falling on parched ground, tiny, yet announcing that life is returning. It is your declaration that you still believe, that you still hope, that you still choose the light no matter how thick the darkness once felt. My beloved child, I know you may feel afraid of making this decision, especially when you have known disappointment, when you have been hurt, when you fear that opening your heart again will shatter it once more. But hear me, the decision you make today is not based on what happened to you, but on what I promise to do. I am not calling you to follow me, only to abandon you midway. I am not drawing you closer so that you may regret it. My love is not a trap, it is a refuge. My child, let your heart soften. Do not think your decision is too small to matter. In my eyes, It is a monumental turning point. It is the voice of your soul lifting toward heaven. It is a declaration that you no longer wish to live under the rule of fear. It is the moment you choose to step toward the light, the moment I have waited for so long. My beloved child, even now, in this very moment, I am reaching toward you not through visions, not through dreams, but through the very words that are touching your heart. You believe you are simply reading lines of text, but in truth you are brushing against the heartbeat of the love I have for you. Even on the days when you tremble in the shadows of worry, or on the nights when your chest tightens because you feel you have no one to lean on, know this: you have never, not for a single second, been truly alone. What you feel as emptiness is simply the space where your eyes cannot see me and your ears cannot hear me. Yet I have always stood beside your soul, so close that the moment you think of me, I already hear. Remember the moments when life pushed you to your limits. Perhaps it was long ago. Perhaps it was only recently. Perhaps only you know about it. Those were the moments when you were lost in confusion, convinced you couldn't take another step, and yet, somehow you made it through, as if someone intervened at the very last moment. You didn't understand why you were so fortunate. You couldn't explain why everything suddenly shifted, as though an unseen hand had cleared a path for you. You once assumed it was normal, that life simply improved, or that someone happened to show up with help. But, my child, none of those moments were random. They were not coincidences. They were not luck. It was I who was working behind the curtain of this world. Each time you thought your situation was hopeless but a solution appeared, it was I who loosened the door for you. Each time you felt your heart was beyond healing but someone arrived with comfort at the right moment, it was I who sent that gentle touch. Each time you believed you couldn't endure another second but strength suddenly rose within you, it was I who lifted you in my arms quietly, yet never failing. Others may call it chance. Others may say it was good timing or an unexpected opportunity. But yes, I know who you are. And I call those moments by their true name: my protection, my mercy, and my love for you. Every intervention was my message to tell you, you do not have to fight alone. I am still here. I still see you. I am still preserving you. And now, my child, it is the same. In this moment, as your thoughts swirl, as you wonder where your life is headed, as you fear that no one understands the depth of your weakness, I want you to know that the answers are not found in your excessive striving or in the things that trouble you. They are found in my arms. There are things I am untangling for you, knots I am loosening, doors I am opening, and others I am closing, because I know what holds you back, what wounds you, and what will lead you to the place where your soul was always meant to belong. There is work being completed even when you cannot yet see the results. There are problems being resolved in layers your eyes cannot reach. There are alignments forming in the unseen so that when the light comes, you will gasp and say, "So, you were there all along." Your life is so precious that I do not allow anything to threaten it without intervening. I never stand afar watching you drown beneath pressure without extending my hand. I never let you wander without sending light to guide you home. You must understand this more clearly than ever. You matter to me. You are one I cherish, a soul I have guarded, a story I have written with patience and love. I come to you in this moment, not because you are too fragile, but because I want you to know that every step you take is worthy of being held with care. You deserve healing. You deserve support. You deserve love that asks for nothing in return. I come to you because your heart is weary. I come to you because you are standing at a crossroads, unsure which direction leads to peace. I do not come to make you tremble, but to pull you out of the anxieties you have been wrestling with day after day. This is why I touch you in this very moment, to remind you that my love is not an abstract idea, but a real presence, an invisible support that cannot be seen with the eyes, yet can always be felt by the soul. My child, everything I have done, everything I am doing, and everything I will do is because of your worth. You are not a burden. You are not a disappointment. You are not forgotten. If only you could see the battles I fight on your behalf. If only you could hear the intercessions I lift up for you. If only you could sense every moment I push darkness away from reaching you, you would know that my love surrounds your life far more deeply than you ever imagined. Beloved child, even in this very moment, I am moving through the layers of your emotions, through the hardness life has formed, through the thick fog of your worries, and through the countless distractions the world pours into your mind. I am drawing closer, step by step, to lead you back into the light you belong to. There has never been a moment in your life when I have not watched over you, never a single second in which I hesitated to uphold you. I am helping you even now, and there is not one trace of doubt about that. I am here, not as a distant memory, not as an echo from far away, but as a living presence resting right beside your heart. I do not call you from some unreachable height. I do not stand on the heaven's edge watching you struggle alone in the dark. No, my child, I am holding your hand, truly holding it, in a way only the soul can feel. I am pulling you out of the invisible storms, out of the thoughts that drain you, out of the emotional whirlpools you once believed you could never escape. You feel tired, but I am not. You feel weak, but my strength does not fade. This is why I step down, draw near, and press myself close to your trembling heart to remind you that you are not alone on this journey. Think back to the seemingly small moments that made you pause and wonder, how did I not collapse back then? Do you remember the hours when despair wrapped around you, when tears streamed silently in the dark, and yet suddenly a gentle warmth traced down your spine, soothing your fragile heart? You thought it was just a strange sensation. But hear me, that was me holding your soul. I am the one who comes near when you believe no one is left. The one who places my hand upon your trembling spirit just as you curl inward to avoid further hurt. When you stood in chaos, when your mind felt like a storm-tossed sky, when confusion rose and fell like waves, threatening to overturn your small boat, there were moments of serenity that appeared out of nowhere, a pocket of stillness in the midst of disorder, a deep breath you did not know you could take again, a whisper inside you that felt like soft comfort. You assumed it was your own strength calming yourself, but that was not you. That was me stepping into your storm to quiet it for a moment simply so you could breathe. I have touched you, my child, not with visible hands, but with a presence that surrounds you. When the world steals your peace, I place one drop of it back into your heart. When pressure makes you feel crushed, I pull you away from the edge and speak to you in a language only the heart can hear. When you believe every door has closed, I open a sliver of light just wide enough to let you know I have never let go of you. Those tiny moments of comfort, you felt an unexpected wave of calm, the sense of a gentle hand resting on your shoulder, a warmth you could not explain. They were all me. That is how I soothe a child who has gone beyond their limits, how I breathe life into places within you that you thought had died, how I remind you that my heart has never once drifted from yours. Do not think those moments were simple. Do not assume they were psychological or accidental. There is no such thing as coincidence in heaven. Every act of mine carries intention, carries love shaped specifically for you. I never allow your soul to wrestle alone in darkness without sending a beam of light, a breath of warmth, a delicate touch. You may feel weak, but I do not see that as failure. I see it as a wordless cry for help, and I respond with a presence as gentle as wind and as powerful as fire. There are days when you feel overwhelmed, as if you are about to shatter into pieces. Yet somehow, in a way you cannot explain, you manage to regain just enough calm to keep going. You do not understand how, but I do. I am the one who lifts your soul when it is about to collapse. I am the hidden source of strength that enables you to rise again. I am the whisper reminding you that your story does not end here. I stand beside you when you tremble, when you feel stained by your own shortcomings, when your heart aches in ways no one knows. I do not pull away from you in the moments you are weakest or most disappointed in yourself. I draw closer. I wrap you in my warmth. And right there, in those very moments, I am mending the fractures you have hidden from the world. My child, every gentle sensation you feel, that unexpected warmth, that sudden peace, that quiet steadiness in a breath of despair, is the imprint I leave as I guard your soul. It is my subtle reminder that you are loved with an unchanging love, watched over with tireless care, and guided with a devotion that never ceases. My beloved child, there are many things in this life that can cause your heart to drift away from what truly matters, the invisible pressures, the expectations that weigh heavily on your shoulders, the words that wound, or the dust-covered memories you thought you had forgotten but still cling to you. All of these can blur your vision and cause you to forget the very source of light to which you belong. I know you have endured losses, exhaustion, and moments you never want to relive. There are old wounds that still sting when touched, no matter how much time has passed. I know these experiences have made you cautious, guarded, and at times tempted to withdraw into a corner just to avoid any further harm. But child, I do not let these things define you. I do not allow the past to imprison you behind walls built by darkness. I do not let you walk alone through the cold corridors of insecurity or doubt. At this very moment, I am sheltering you not with empty promises, but with my presence covering your soul. You are not alone. Even though you have lived through nights believing no one truly understood you, you are not forgotten. Even though in your most fragile hours you wondered if anyone could see your worth, I am here to make this clear: you have never been left behind. Not for a single second, not for a single step. And because this truth never changes, I am inviting you to make a choice. Not a rushed decision, not one born out of fear, nor one driven by the pressure to appear better in someone else's eyes. This decision is the part that belongs to you, the part only you can offer. I do not seize your soul to force you to believe, to feel, or to respond in the ways I desire. I have never done that. Love does not operate through coercion, and I, who am love, do not use pressure to claim your heart. I place before you truth, peace, rest, and healing. The rest, I leave for you to choose. You may open the door of your heart, or keep it closed if you are not ready. You may step toward the light, or remain still in the familiar safety of the shadows. Whatever you choose, I honor you, but I hope from the deepest place within me that, as you read these words, they slip into the innermost parts of your heart and give you the confirmation your soul has been searching for all this time. You may think you are simply reading text, but in truth your soul is hearing my voice. I know this, because there are moments of authenticity that cannot be fabricated when you feel as though someone is whispering to your heart. When you suddenly feel lighter, even just a little. When you sense warmth with no logical explanation, that is your heart being touched by me. My child, the center of everything, I want to give you rests in your attention, in the act of turning back toward the light your soul lost amid the clamor of life. You need no spectacle. You need no elaborate rituals. You need no grand gestures. All I ask of you is sincerity. If you lean even slightly toward me, I will walk the rest of the way. If you realize that this light has never left you, I will illuminate the corners you have feared to open. If you acknowledge that you need me, I will come faster than a single breath. My child, I do not come to plant fear in your heart. Never. Fear has never been my language. I do not use it to teach you, nor do I use it to win your heart. I come to bring you relief, the relief you have longed for but have not dared to admit. It is the relief of no longer having to fight alone, the relief of knowing that you are loved even in your imperfection, the relief of being able to breathe without carrying the burdens that have weighed down your shoulders for far too long. I speak this to you. Do not let the pressures of life, whether from work, family, disappointing relationships, or old wounds, blur your vision from seeing what I am doing for you. Those pressures can make you forget your worth, forget my nearness, and forget the truth that you were created to walk in the light, not in uncertainty. I want you to return to me, not because I need you, but because you need to live true to your soul, freed from the exhaustion that has been quietly building within you. Do not think this decision is small. Nothing is small when it concerns the soul. A gentle touch can reposition a heart. A quiet yes from deep within can open an entirely new journey. When you say yes to me, you are not merely choosing a direction, you are choosing a new condition of the soul, one where peace becomes your breath, love becomes your light, and truth becomes your measure. My child, I know you have lived through things that make you afraid to decide. You fear being disappointed again. You fear that if you open your heart, it will be wounded once more. You fear that change will pull you away from the familiar. You fear that if you trust again, you won't survive another breaking point. I understand every one of those fears. You do not need to hide them from me. But I want you to know that the decision you make today is not based on what you have lost. It is based on what I am promising to restore. It is not based on what others have done to you. It is based on what I, myself, will do for you. I do not call you only to abandon you. I do not place you on a journey without walking alongside you. I do not love you only to leave you struggling to survive on your own. All I desire is that you return to the light that has belonged to you from the beginning. One decision, my child, just one, is enough to open your soul. Enough for me to step in deeper. Enough for you to feel the relief you have misplaced. Enough for you to lift your head from the things that have worn you down and realize that you still have a future. You still have hope. You still have purpose. And you are still wrapped in a love that surrounds you every second. So pause for a moment. Let these words sink gently into your heart. Let them soften what has hardened, warm what has grown cold, and brighten what has dimmed. You do not need to run. You do not need to fear. You do not need to brace yourself. I am here. I am waiting for you. And my light is still shining, waiting only for you to turn toward it. My beloved child, lift your head and allow my light to touch your eyes. Do not let the dark days keep you bowed forever. And do not let old failures hold your gaze to the ground. I want you to look up, not to ignore what you are walking through, but to see that there is a sky wide open above you, where I am still ruling, still arranging, still watching over every breath you take with a care the world can never match. When you look up, you will realize that what I am doing is far greater than what your natural sight could ever perceive. Open your eyes, my child, not the natural eyes, but the eyes of the Spirit, the eyes of faith, the eyes of someone who knows they are being led by the one who never makes a mistake. When those eyes are opened, you will see the truth that darkness has always tried to hide you. Never walk alone. You are not a grain of sand drifting aimlessly through life. You are chosen ground, a foundation upon which I have placed my hand, a place where I have sown life, meaning, and purpose. When I tell you to stand firm, it is not a demand, it is an affirmation that strength already exists within you. waiting only to be awakened so it may blaze forth. Heaven is watching, not with judgment, but with loving anticipation. I said that heaven waits to see how the earth responds, and you are that earth. You are the soil into which I am planting my promises. You are the place where I long to bring forth fruit. You are where I have set my expectations not as pressure, but as the way a father sees in his child what the child is not yet confident enough to see in themselves. You are the earth, and the seeds I sow are always watered by my love and my patience. Listen carefully. My child, the trumpet has sounded. It is not a sound the human ear can hear, but your spirit will recognize it. It is the signal that a new season has begun. It is the call for you to step into what I have ordained, even if you believe you are unprepared. It is the call to rise from the stagnation that has held you for far too long. It is the call to recognize that the appointed time has come. No more waiting in uncertainty. No more standing at a crossroads unable to choose a direction. No more fear of choosing wrong. That trumpet is heaven's confirmation that the next part of your journey begins now. The window of heaven has opened. This is my way of telling you that what I am doing will no longer be delayed. In the unseen realm, great things are shifting. Connections are forming. Obstacles are being dismantled. You may not see anything outwardly. You may look around and think your life appears the same as yesterday. But do not let the stillness deceive you. Heaven does not create noise when I move. I act with divine order, with precision, in timing, in detail, in every breath. This is not the time to doubt my purpose. It is not the time to stay where you are simply because you fear a wrong step. It is not the time to wait for yet another sign when I have already opened the door for you to walk through. This is the moment when all the seemingly scattered pieces of your past begin to align into a larger picture. You may not understand immediately, but trust that I do nothing halfway. I do not lead you only to abandon you. I do not speak a promise only to let it fall to the ground. I do not build something in your life only to let it collapse. So, what is your next step? You may be asking this. You may be searching for a clear direction. You may be waiting for a specific answer. But my child, sometimes the next step is not a complete plan. Sometimes it is simply an agreement within the heart, a small yes, a willingness without knowing every detail, a trust that I have already gone before you, and you need only to walk in the footprints I have left. You think you must see the whole path before you can move. But your soul was not created to follow human light. You were created to follow my leading, the one who sees your destination, even when you cannot see the first few steps. If you wait until everything is clear, you will remain where you are. But if you step forward in the dimness, you will discover that my light always appears at the exact moment needed to illuminate the next step. Even if everything around you seems still, even if you are yearning for a visible sign, know this, a great movement is happening right now, not where the natural eye can see, but where the eyes of the Spirit perceive. I am aligning you with what is necessary, clearing away obstacles you cannot reach, connecting paths you did not know existed. Do not let the silence of your circumstances convince you that I am inactive. Silence is the evidence that I am doing much, but doing it the way heaven does, not the way humans do. And, my child, you need to know this. I have already sent the first angel to your side, not to frighten you, not to test you, but to escort you, to remind your soul that the appointed time has come, to shield you from invisible attacks, to open the doors I desire you to walk through. That angel is the sign that you are not alone in this season of transition. Whenever you step into something new, there is always assistance from the heavens, help that surpasses your understanding. My child, I want you to feel this truth deep within your heart. You are not meant to walk through this phase on your own. You are not meant to fight by yourself. You are not meant to figure everything out alone. I have sent help before you even called for it. I prepared the path before you knew you needed a way out. I placed resources before you, long before you realized what you would be facing. Do not let fear keep you frozen. Do not allow past experiences to limit who you are becoming. I am calling you forward with faith, with readiness, with the awareness that your story is not over. There is so much more I want to do in your life. So much you have not yet seen. So much grace I am preparing to pour out upon you. Stand up. Keep moving. Believe that heaven is working on your behalf. Believe that what I begin, I will finish. Believe that you are not only a witness but a participant in this divine plan. You belong to this journey, and I will walk with you step by step until light covers the entirety of your life. My beloved child, today I want to reveal to you a truth that many souls often overlook, because they wait for something grand, loud, and dazzling, while I come near in a completely different way. I want you to know that the deliverance you are longing for, the breakthrough your soul yearns for, the transformation your heart quietly calls by name, none of these will arrive with thunder, shaking the sky, or lightning, piercing the night clouds. It will not be heralded by a grand procession, nor sung by a heavenly choir in triumphant tones, nor accompanied by fireworks that cause others to look up in awe. No, my child, that is not how it will come. Your deliverance is approaching you in a gentleness so subtle that unless your heart is open, you might mistake it for nothing at all. It arrives in silence. It enters your life through stillness, through whispers rather than cheers, through warmth rather than blazing fire. I do not need noise to open the doors of freedom for you. I do not need to stir a storm to prove my power. The one thing I wait for, the one thing I desire from you is surrender. You have heard this before, but today I want to plant it deeper within your spirit. Like a seed laid beneath the richest soil, there are moments when the elements of heaven and earth align like stars forming a single straight line, only once in a lifetime, forming a sacred point of convergence where every variable meets its appointed moment. And this, my child, is one of those moments. You may not see it. You may not perceive it with your natural senses. Outwardly, everything may seem quiet. So quiet that it makes you wonder if anything is moving at all. But I assure you the spiritual ground around you is trembling. Heaven is in motion. The things I am about to bring forth in your life are shifting into place, like the final pieces of a long unfinished picture. You see nothing happening, but that does not mean nothing is taking place. Often the greatest miracles arrive in the quietest ways. My child, let me explain what only a discerning soul can recognize. When I come in silence, it is not because I am weak or unable to display my power. I have thundered before. I have stirred the seas. I have parted waters for my people. But in your life, I choose stillness because I want you to recognize my footsteps without waiting for a storm. I want you to learn to discern my presence in the small things, a deep breath you cannot explain, a thought that suddenly becomes clear, a peace as gentle as a breeze arriving at the moment you feel you might break. I come in comforts so subtle they seem small, yet they are strong enough to lift you again. And I want you to know this rescue that arrives in silence is never a rescue lacking in power. Think of the sunrise. It emerges without noise, without display, yet it is strong enough to break apart an entire night. A seed begins to sprout. No one hears it. No one witnesses the exact moment it splits open from within. Yet that quiet unfolding becomes the miracle of life itself. That is the picture of the deliverance I am giving you, hidden, yet certain, gentle, yet full of authority, quiet, yet unstoppable. Do not assume that my silence is a sign of distance. Silence is simply a way I prepare the strongest foundation for what I am about to build in your life. When I am working the most, that is often when you feel me the quietest. when heaven is moving with the greatest force, that is often when the world around you appears still. For my work begins in the depths, in the places the natural eye cannot see, in the layers beneath the surface, layers that must be restored first. Because without them, none of the new things I give you could stand firm. But for this to unfold, you need one thing: surrender. Surrender is not defeat. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is laying down the weight you were never designed to carry. Surrender is opening your hands so I can place within them what you cannot grasp while they are still full of the old. Surrender is admitting that you do not have to be strong all the time. You only need to be honest with me. I do not ask you to display your faith. I do not require grand gestures. I do not expect you to pretend you are fine when you are trembling inside. I want your sincerity. Just one breath lifted toward me. One whispered prayer falling like morning dew. One small nod in your soul. These are enough to open the door I have been waiting for you to walk through. My child, I do not come to plant fear in you. I do not come to make you tremble before the future or worry about what has not yet happened. I come to bring relief, to help you set down the burdens you have carried like a weary traveler, finally finding a place to rest after a long, exhausting road. I come so you may know that my heart is always leaning toward your peace, not your confusion, toward your restoration, not your depletion, toward your life, not your loss. You are standing in a moment of divine intersection, a sacred point between what you have come through and what you are about to step into. And now, I return to the question I ask your soul: are you willing to open your heart to receive what I am doing, not through striving, not through force, but through a gentle surrender rising from deep within? Do not let old wounds convince you that I judge you by your past. Do not let the pressures of life blur your sight of what matters most. I am covering you. You are not alone, and you never have been, nor will you ever be forgotten. My child, the stillness I am giving you is not an empty space. It is the very place where your deliverance is taking shape. Beloved child, there are moments in life when your strength feels nearly drained, when your mind wavers under invisible battles, and when your heart grows so weary that all you want is to lay everything down and release every burden. Yet, it is in those very moments when you feel you have nothing left to hold on to that I am drawing closer than ever. I do not come with thundering storms, nor do I flash across the sky like lightning. I do not arrive with noise, nor do I bring an army or a choir resounding behind me. No, my child, I come in silence, a kind of silence that only souls who have touched the edges of deep hurt can recognize as my presence. I choose quietness when I draw near because I do not need noise to create miracles. I do not need commotion to open the doors of freedom for your soul. The only thing I wait for from you is not a cry that shakes the heavens, but surrender, a yielding from within, where your will stops resisting, where your heart stops arguing and analyzing, and simply exhales, Lord, I give myself to you. There are moments when all of heaven, earth, and your own spirit meet at a single point, where everything that has long been prepared suddenly aligns with the time I have appointed. And my child, you are standing in that very convergence. There are instructions. There is guidance. There are words I have prepared long before this moment. But I waited for your heart to release its final resistance so that they could pour out. You have heard it said that heaven carries an inbox for your soul, a place where answers, comfort, direction, and revelation are placed long before you ask. But it is only when your heart grows still, when you stop trying to persuade me with effort or the illusion of perfection, that these letters are opened. I have waited for this moment a long time, the moment your heart yields without shattering, becomes still without complaining, and lets go without fear of losing control. When surrender rises from within you, not from fear, not from despair, but from a quiet trust, then heaven moves. My child, do not think that you must beg loudly, pray with impressive eloquence, or keep yourself flawlessly perfect before I draw near to you. Many have believed such things, and that very belief has led them to imagine that I am distant, cold, or difficult to approach. But I am not like that. No angel I send ever stands outside the doorway of your life, demanding that you clean everything up perfectly before he steps in. No angel of mine crosses his arms and watches you struggle simply because you have not met some imagined standard. An angel comes the very moment you choose to let go of your own will, your self-reliance, your attempts to rescue yourself by your own strength. When you truly lay down your burdens, not through tears alone, but through that deep inner stillness that flows quietly from within, the angel I have appointed steps in at once. Do you know what that surrender looks like? It is not an emotional outburst that flares and fades. It is not merely the tears that fall onto your pillow. True surrender is the moment your soul realizes it can no longer negotiate with the divine through reason. It is when you no longer say, "Lord, if you do this, I will do that." It is when you stop trying to control outcomes. Stop attempting to predict the future. Stop clinging to what I have already asked you to release. Surrender is when you stand in silence and allow me to lead. Surrender is when your will no longer resists, argues, or demands, but softens like a flowing stream. And in that very moment, my angel appears. But the angel does not arrive swinging a sword immediately, nor does he rush to destroy every visible enemy you think is threatening you. He does not burst through doors or throw bolts of lightning into your life just to prove his power. None of that is necessary. The angel comes to do something far more delicate, deeper, and more enduring, to sever the spiritual cords that have bound you, the cords that pull you back into your past, keep you locked in fear, tie you to painful memories, or chain your mind to self-destructive thoughts you cannot free yourself from. These cords may be invisible to the human eye, yet they are stronger than any outward circumstance. Some of the battles in your life are only shadows, while the true bonds holding you captive are within, and the angel comes to cut those very bonds. My child, I want you to understand that this rescue unfolds in a place of profound peace, not because I am weak or because heaven has run out of power, but because every intervention that comes from me carries the nature of absolute certainty. I do not need noise to prove that I am at work. My silence is not absence. It is the quiet confidence of the one who knows exactly what he is doing and knows that no power can interfere. When I work in silence, it means my decision has already been made and no one can reverse what I have decreed. You are standing at a moment where your soul has reached the intersection of exhaustion and surrender, and it is precisely there that the things heaven has long prepared begin to pour out. You want a sign, you want to feel a trembling in the air, you want to know with certainty that I am doing something, my child. The angel I sent is already beside you. You may not hear his footsteps. You may not see the light of his wings, but I tell you truly, he has arrived. Not because you are perfect, not because you prayed the right way, not because you are strong enough, but because you opened the door, even if only slightly, for me to enter. The angel does not come to frighten you. He comes to remind your soul that the time has come. He comes to stand between the old chapter of your life and the new one I am preparing to unfold. He comes to remove the invisible burdens you have carried for far too long, the voices that said you were not enough, the memories that whispered you were abandoned, the words that made you believe you were not chosen. All of these are being severed, one strand at a time, by the spiritual sword I have placed in the hand of my angel. My child, the moment you let go is not a moment of weakness. It is the beginning of a new chapter. When you release your own will, you create room for me to accomplish what no one else can. When you stop relying on your own strength, you hand me the authority to rebuild your soul according to the design I first intended. And when you loosen the invisible cords you have been carrying, you step into a freedom you never knew you could reach. This is the intersection. This is the sacred moment. This is when heaven is answering you, not with an echoing sound, but with presence, not with a thunderous wonder, but with a gentle wind, not with an earthquake, but with a peace so profound you cannot explain it. My beloved child, I know there are places within you that have lain dormant for years, like hidden thorns quietly lodged deep inside, creating a lingering ache no one around you could ever see. It is difficult to live with the shame that slipped into your heart when you were too young to understand what was happening. The careless words of your parents, the indifference of people you once trusted, the coldness of the world, each of these placed an invisible shadow over your soul. There are memories from your childhood that still linger somewhere in your mind, memories you thought you had forgotten, yet they continue to influence every breath you take. And deeper still, there are disappointments you have never spoken to anyone about, not because you wanted to hide them, but because no one felt close enough for you to trust they would understand what you have endured. The angel I have sent is walking through every layer of that pain, not with noise, not with spectacle, but with a sacred stillness that belongs only to the realm of heaven. You may not hear his footsteps. You may not feel his wings brushing away the dust that has long settled in the corners of your heart. But I tell you truly that he is there, quiet yet powerful, loosening every link of the invisible chains that have held you for far too long. These cords are not of the body, but of the spirit, cords of shame, of self-blame, of internal doubt, of the haunting belief that you will never be good enough, strong enough, or worthy enough to be loved. No one else can see them, but I see each strand, each knot clearly, and the angel I have appointed is releasing your soul from everything that has restrained you. You may not realize it, but many times you have lived as though you were on an invisible stage, trying to behave the right way, trying to appear strong, trying to be better so you would not be hurt again. You learned how to hide your real feelings, how to use a smile as armor, and how to use silence to guard a heart that bruises too easily. But hear me, surrender is not sitting still in a polished posture. True surrender is the moment your soul stops forcing itself to hold everything together and finally returns to its honest self. It is the moment you stop performing. Stop trying to hold back tears. Stop forcing yourself to seem okay. Surrender is letting your soul breathe again after years of tension created by fear of being wounded. There have been nights when you lay down, staring at the ceiling in the dark, telling yourself, "Tomorrow I will do better," only to wake to another day drained by overwhelming pressures, unrealistic expectations, and wounds that run too deep. You have tried many times, risen many times, resolved to change many times, yet after repeating the cycle of disappointment, you finally cried out in despair, "Lord, I can't do this anymore. If you don't step in, I will collapse." Listen to me, child. That moment was not a shameful weakness. It was not failure. It was not proof that you are powerless. It was not a sign that you are defeated. On the contrary, it was the moment every wall inside you began to break so that my light could shine into the deepest places of your soul. It was the moment heaven touched the earth, when the door of redemption opened for the first time after years of being shut. When you said, "I can't," you were acknowledging a truth I have long waited for you to see. You were never made to carry everything alone. That is the moment rescue begins. Rescue does not begin when you are strongest. It begins when you are honest enough to admit you cannot lift yourself out of the pit. Rescue does not happen when you are standing firmly. It comes when you have fallen and finally see that I am the only one who can lift you up. Rescue does not burst forth with a lightning strike, nor arrive with a trumpet sound. nor wait until you feel prepared. It is gentle as a breath, quiet as dawn slowly tearing through the night, and tender as my hand resting upon your weary heart. The angel does not come to brandish swords or appear with thunderous miracles, nor does he arrive to scatter your enemies with a dazzling display of power. No, he comes to do a deeper, quieter, and far more essential work, to sever the spiritual cords that have bound you far longer than any external problem in your life. The enemies outside have never been as dangerous as the chains within. It is the unnamed fears that slow your steps. It is the doubts about your own worth that keep you from stepping into what I have prepared. It is the unhealed wounds you have never faced that cause you to miss the goodness I long to give you. The angel comes to untangle those very things first. He requires no audience, no witnesses, no cheers from the outside world. Real transformation never happens on a stage. It happens in the hidden room of the soul, where only you and I know what you are truly confronting. And he asks only one thing from you: honesty. Not strength, not flawless purity, not perfect righteousness. Only the courage to face your own heart and speak the truth that you are tired, that you are hurting, that you are afraid, and that you need me. That is genuine surrender. Surrender is not the act of a defeated soul. It is the turning point of someone who finally finds the courage to release what they can no longer carry. Surrender is not the moment you lose control, but the moment you hand over control to the one who has never done you wrong. Surrender is not silence born from despair, but a sacred stillness, a place where your will stops resisting, stops arguing, stops straining to hold on to what I am inviting you to let go. My beloved child, I do not need you to be perfect in order to rescue you. I just need you to be truthful. And the moment you say, "Lord, I cannot," heaven immediately moves. Not to judge you, but to pull you out of what is drowning you. Not to punish you, but to heal. Not to shame you, but to remind you that you were never meant to be abandoned. This is the true power of heavenly deliverance. It begins not where you stand strong, but where you collapse, not from your capability, but from the tender weakness you dare to lay bare before me. My child, let me take you back to an old story. Though its essence has never grown old, the story in the book of Acts, where the darkness of a cold prison cell became the birthplace of a miracle. Paul and Silas, two men full of faith, were dragged into a cramped, foul, mold-ridden space, not a metaphor, not poetic imagery, but a real prison where even the air carried the stench of despair. Their bodies were bruised, their backs bleeding from the lashes, their feet locked in crude, unforgiving stocks. No light, no promise, no voice assuring them that morning would come. They sat there as the cold seeped through their skin, fully aware that no one stood outside the prison doors to defend them. Every circumstance appeared to be stacked against them. To the natural eye, it was the end. But it is in the places that seem utterly hopeless where God plants a strength that darkness cannot steal, the strength of praise. Paul and Silas did not wait for the iron doors to open before they praised. They did not wait for freedom, nor did they look for a sign. They began to sing while the night was still thick around them. They sang even as the chains clamped tightly around their feet. And that, my child, is the surrender of true faith, a letting go of the soul in a place where beauty seems impossible. Their song was not the sound of visible victory. It was not the roar of a celebrating crowd. There were no instruments, no drums, no stage lights. That song was born from the deepest chamber of trust, a place untouched by the confinement of the body. It was the song of those who, though exhausted, still believed. The song of hearts that did not wait for circumstances to change before declaring that God is still good. And it was the authenticity of that song that shook the very foundations of the prison. Pay close attention to this. My child, deliverance does not begin when the iron gate bursts off its hinges. It does not begin when the chains fall to the ground. True deliverance began the very moment Paul and Silas decided that the darkness had no authority to steal their song. The moment they chose to exalt the Lord, not because their situation was easy, but because they knew He was worthy of praise even when their lives were being pressed to the very edge. In the instant, their hearts opened like that. The spiritual realm trembled. It was not a showy kind of praise. It was not a performance of pretending to be strong. It was not singing to soothe themselves. It was a song rising from a heart stripped down to nothing but truth, the truth that God was still there, even when their circumstances did not reflect it. That truth is what shakes hell. That truth is what makes prisons, foundations, shackles, and every spiritual chain tremble. And my child, this story is not only about the past. It is not written just to inspire or to make a beautiful sermon. It is a reminder for you in this very hour, because you, like Paul and Silas, have also sat inside invisible prisons, prisons built by old wounds, prisons shaped by words spoken over you in childhood, prisons formed by expectations that drained your strength, prisons guarded by a shame you have never voiced. You have lived through nights no one knew about, swallowed tears while others assumed you were fine, and held yourself together so no one would see you breaking. Some prisons are built of stone walls, but others are constructed from the sharp sentence someone hurled at you years ago. Some prisons do not confine the body, but they bind the spirit, and in those hidden places, you have often asked, God, where are you? But look deeply into the story in Acts. God did not appear in thunder, did not enter in lightning, did not arrive with armies of heaven. He came when the human heart surrendered. He came when the soul stopped resisting and began yielding. He came in the quiet. What I want you to understand is this: your deliverance will come the same way. Not in the roar of noise, not when your life is perfectly aligned, not when you feel holy enough. Your deliverance will come in stillness, in the simplicity of the moment your heart stops struggling. It comes when you say, Lord, I cannot, but you can. It comes when you stop pretending to be fine and bring only raw honesty into your communion with God. Remember this: the angel of the Lord does not wait for you to be perfect before appearing. He does not stand there tallying points, counting faults, or waiting for your soul to be spotless before drawing near. The angel is sent the moment you truly humble yourself and lay down the burdens you were never meant to carry. He comes to do what you have tried and failed to do on your own, to cut the spiritual cords that have held you back for so long. These cords cannot be seen with physical eyes, yet they tie the feet of your soul, keeping you from stepping into the new things God has prepared for you. Those cords may be feelings of worthlessness, the voice of self-accusation, memories that wound you, the fear of failure, or the false belief that you are unworthy of God's love. They hold you back not by force, but by whispers easy to believe, and the angel of the Lord is approaching now to cut them loose, one strand at a time. But for the angel to do this, what you need is not strength. What you need is not exceptional effort. What you need is the quiet of the soul. True surrender is not sitting still. It is the inner moment when you stop pretending. It is when you sigh and say, Lord, I have tried so much. I am tired. I cannot do this anymore. Please rescue me. Do you think saying such words means failure? No. My child, that is the moment heaven unlocks the gates. That is the moment every captivity trembles. That is the moment deliverance begins. Look again at the story in the book of Acts, not because I want you to memorize the words, but because I want you to recognize yourself within it. Paul and Silas did not praise in order to bargain for a miracle. They praised because praise was the breath of their souls. They did not sing loudly so they could be heard. They sang so their spirits could be free, even while their bodies were locked away. And that song, the truth rising from within them, shook the very foundations of the prison. You do not need to shout to break chains. You only need truth. You do not need a blinding miracle. You only need a surrendered heart. It is that truth that makes hell tremble, that startles the darkness, that silences the enemy. My beloved child, I tell you this story not for your admiration but for your awakening, so you will know that the miracle in your own life begins in the same way. Not with fireworks, not with thunder, not with spectacular signs, but with the quiet honesty of a heart returning to me. My beloved child, the rescue I have prepared for you is not built on emotional explosions, nor does it rise from spiritual highs that come under bright lights or in bursts of excitement. It is nothing like those spiritual peaks people chase, those moments when you feel ablaze, powerful, overflowing with holy energy. No, true deliverance does not depend on any of that. It needs no retreat, no charged atmosphere, no collective uplift of a crowd to validate what I am doing. For my power does not rely on stirring the senses. The rescue that comes from heaven, in its truest form, always arrives by another path, a quiet path, steady and light, yet strong, like the wind touching the surface of the waters. When heaven decides to intervene, it does not happen with booming thunder or lightning tearing through the sky. It comes in stillness. It slips into your life like a warm breath in a cold night, and that stillness makes my power unstoppable. Every force that opposes you can only react to what it sees, hears, measures, or anticipates. But when I move in silence without a sound to signal it, without any sign for the enemy to detect, darkness cannot resist. It has nothing to brace against. It sees no moment to strike. It has no chance to sabotage. My silence becomes the armor that shields every heavenly motion, leaving the realm of darkness blind, unable to interfere. My child, reflect on this. When transformation does not seek attention, Satan cannot touch it. When I work quietly, the fury of darkness becomes useless, for it cannot cling to what it cannot see. It cannot destroy what I build in secrecy. It cannot tear down the process I shape in the hidden chambers of your soul. And this is what gives silent deliverance its unmatched strength. Imagine the way a seed quietly splits open beneath the soil. No one hears that sound. No one witnesses that inner breaking. Yet that silent moment becomes the beginning of new life. A sprout will eventually push through the earth, but before it grows, it needs silence to begin. So it is with the deliverance unfolding in your life. The freedom you have longed for is taking place in depths that human eyes cannot perceive. Heaven is shifting around you. What I have prepared for you is taking shape. But because it is happening in quietness, you assume you are standing still. In truth, you are changing bit by bit. What I have planted is growing bit by bit. Deliverance is weaving its way through every wound you carry, every unspoken disappointment, every word that once cut your heart. My child, do not think that something must be dramatic or spectacular to prove that I am moving. You often expect the extraordinary, something that splits seas, opens heavens, or sends the world reeling in awe. But if you look into Scripture, you will see that there were times I parted the waters, and there were times I only whispered. There were moments when mountains shook, and moments when I came in a gentle breeze. There were days I spoke in thunder, and days I rested, my hand on your shoulder in quiet tenderness. True deliverance is never an explosive battlefield confrontation. It is a profound shift that no storm can hinder. When I step into your soul in silence, it is like dawn slipping through the crack of a door. No one hears the sun rise, yet it appears with undeniable power. In the same way, no one hears the spiritual chains within you falling in this very moment. yet they have already fallen. No one hears the wind of my spirit sweep across the barren places inside you. Yet a new life has already begun to take root. When I deliver you, it is not a burst of excitement that fades when emotions cool. It is a real lifting, a real healing, a real returning, a transformation untouched by the enemy. For it is carried out through a silence marked by heaven itself. Pause and take notice the lightness you feel, the way your breath no longer drags with heaviness as before, the peace that slips into places you thought would never be restored. These are all traces of my rescue. Remember that Satan operates through noise. He feeds on agitation. He presses into your emotions, stirs panic, amplifies fear, and persuades you that you are sinking. But when I move in silence, he loses his grip. He cannot interfere with the conversation I am having with your soul. He cannot disrupt what I am placing upon your shoulders. He cannot plant fear in the space I have illuminated with my presence. My child, heaven's silence is never a sign of abandonment. That silence is the mark of divine strategy, the place where I work the most. It is in the quiet that I reach into the deepest parts of you, into places you never dared to face or never believed could be healed. I am entering the hidden territory of your heart, where you appeared strong outwardly but trembled within. I am realigning what has been distorted, tending to wounds you forgot existed, rebuilding what you believed was forever lost. This is a sacred moment. No cheering crowds are needed, no spiritual fireworks, no validation from onlookers. Only a stillness deep enough for you to hear me whisper, I am rescuing you. You may not yet feel the fullness of it. You may think nothing has changed. You may believe you are still the same. But that is the nature of true deliverance. It begins before you become aware of it. It works long before you see it. It reshapes you quietly, yet steadily. So, my child, allow your heart to open. Let my silence soothe every corner. Let my breath soften the places you thought had turned to stone. Let my power, the power that comes in stillness, continue the work I have begun. Your deliverance is unfolding not because you performed well enough, but because my love is enough. Not because you are strong, but because I am strong. Not because your prayers were perfect, but because I hear the unspoken cries buried inside your soul. My beloved child, sit for a moment and listen with your whole being, because these words are not given to stir a fleeting excitement or to create a temporary emotional surge. They are given to reveal a truth about your own life, a truth you have forgotten under layers of wounds, pressures, years of self-blame, and the weight of trying to meet everyone's expectations. Today, I want you to remember you were not saved in a flash of light, not in grand displays, but in the quietest moments of your life. You were saved when no one was watching. You were touched when no spotlight shone on you. You were lifted not in applause, but in the sighs you breathed in the dark. And it was precisely there, in the place of your greatest weakness, where your heart felt like it was breaking, where you thought you had nothing left to offer, that I stepped in, without noise, without spectacle, without witnesses. That is the deliverance found in silence, and it is the kind that carries the greatest weight. Remember this, my child, the power of heaven does not lie in noise or dramatic displays, but in the quiet transformation that takes place gently yet deeply. We often imagine that deliverance must arrive with blinding light, with thunder splitting the sky, with a spectacular upheaval right before our eyes. But heaven does not need to do any of that to prove my power. When I choose to open a door, there is no door I cannot open. And when I choose to break chains, no chain, whether forged by fear or by the past, can keep you bound. What I wait for is not your shout, but your surrendered heart. My angel does not come to shove you forward the way someone forces open a door. He does not drag you as though you are compelled to obey. The angel simply stands there patient, gentle, and looks straight into your soul, waiting for you to make your own decision. That decision is one no one else can make for you. It does not require you to be strong right away. It only asks you to be honest. Honest about the pain. Honest about the weariness. Honest about the deep longing within you that tells you it is time for real freedom. You hoped for a breakthrough moment, a great change. A sign so clear it could not be denied. You cried for freedom. Longed to step out of the dark corners where you had been stuck for so long. But, my child, the freedom you crave is not a sparkling feeling like fireworks. It is a decision, an act, a step, a whispered yes rising from your soul. The door is already open. I opened it. The chains are already removed. The angel unlocked them. You are no longer held by the things that once bound you for so many years. I no longer allow anything to tell you that you cannot change, that you are unworthy, that you will always remain the same. But now it is your turn. You must rise. You must step out. You must walk away from what no longer belongs to you. So, let me speak plainly to you in love. The freedom you seek will not suddenly flood your heart simply because you wish to feel different. It begins when you choose to stand, when you choose to release the shame that was never yours, when you choose not to turn back to the past that tried to hold you, when you choose to lay down the role you forced yourself to play for far too long, when you choose to leave behind the ashes of false identities, those that were never true, never right, never reflective of the value I placed within you. My beloved child, you were not born to live by the words of others. You were born with a purpose written in heaven, a purpose only you can complete. Before you knew your own name, before you knew what it meant to breathe, I had already written the story of your life. And in that story, there is a chapter you alone must open, the chapter of freedom, the chapter of true identity, the chapter of overflowing grace. When I say, step into grace, I am not telling you to run towards something unfamiliar. I am inviting you back to where you have always belonged, a place where your soul feels as light as a bird's wing, a place where fear has no voice, a place where the past cannot accuse you, a place where you do not have to strive to become someone else, but are allowed to return to the very form I created you to be. When I say, embrace your new name, I am not merely speaking of a title to be called by. I am speaking of an identity, a new self, a new beginning, a new way of living. You no longer have to wear the labels others stuck onto you. You no longer have to live beneath the shadow of judgment. You no longer have to chain yourself to old mistakes. You no longer have to split yourself between who you are and who others expect you to be. You are allowed to be yourself fully, freely, in my light. And you know this. Child, heaven has never doubted you. I have never sighed in disappointment over you. I have never shaken my head at your stumbling. I do not wait for you to become perfect before calling your name. I call you in the very moment you are trembling, because my love is not rooted in your ability to reach me, but in the calling I placed upon you from the beginning. But to step into this, you must agree to step away from what has held you back. No one can do that for you. No angel can make this decision on your behalf, because this decision forms your soul, your freedom, your very essence. Today, I am not giving you a command. I am extending an invitation that carries no force, no pressure, but is wrapped in profound respect for your freedom. You may refuse it. You may delay it. You may turn away from it. But you can also rise right now and say, Lord, I do not want to live the way I used to anymore. I choose freedom. If you do, you will begin to sense the movement of heaven surrounding you, not like the roar of a storm, but like warmth spreading through your very bones. Not like blinding brilliance, but like a sunrise slowly filling a valley. Not like a noisy miracle, but like your own heart returning to the rhythm it was created to live by. My beloved child, I say this to you with all the gentleness of heaven. Stand up, step out, choose freedom. No one is shaped by shame. No one is born to live under fear. No one is created to be bound by a false identity. You were made to walk in the light. You were crafted to live under the name heaven called you from the very beginning. My child, as you come to this stretch of the road, the place where darkness once hovered over you and made your soul feel lost, I want you to pause and feel this moment with full awareness. Not because it is dramatic or radiant, but because it is a quiet turning, subtle and deeper than anything you have ever imagined. You were not saved in crowds cheering, nor in applause rising around you. You were saved in the simplest hours of your life, those moments when it was only you and me, where no eyes saw, no ears heard, and no one understood how close your heart was to breaking from exhaustion. But it was there that I touched you. It was there, in the unnamed shadows, that I pulled your soul away from the cliff you did not even realize you were standing on. And what you must understand today is this freedom is not something that drifts to you by chance, nor is it a fleeting emotion that appears when your spirit feels lifted. Freedom is a step, a movement, a decision no one else can make in your place. I can open doors. I can loosen chains. I can let light spill into the room where you have remained far too long, but only you can walk out of it. No one can cross the threshold you have feared for so many years. No one can leave behind the ashes of your past on your behalf. No one can lay aside the old story that once told you you were not enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. My child, you have sat too long with the shame the enemy sowed into you since your earliest days, words that seemed harmless yet pierced the softness of your young soul. You walked through childhood with wounds you could not name, and grew up carrying doubts you never dared to speak aloud. You tried to forget, to ignore, to keep yourself busy so you wouldn't have to face that inner voice whispering that you lacked value. But the angel is moving through every fracture, gently, quietly, without spectacle, because heaven does not need noise to heal. He sees what you thought no one could see, touches places you believed had died, and frees your soul from spiritual chains invisible to human eyes. That is why he does not come with swords or blinding bursts of light. He comes in a silence soft enough that your heart will not be startled, steady enough for you to recognize that healing does not always arrive with a great storm. Sometimes it arrives as a breath, a long withheld exhale after years of holding yourself together, a single tear falling when you finally admit, I cannot do this without you. You thought it was weakness, but it was the beginning of deliverance. You thought it was surrender, but it was the day heaven stepped into the battle on your behalf. Remember Paul and Silas in the prison, a portrait of what I am doing in you. They did not wait for the doors to swing open before they praised me. They sang first. They sang while their backs still ached, while their feet were still bound, while the darkness around them offered no promise of a miracle. But it was that honesty, not the volume, that shook the foundations of the prison. The rescue did not begin when the doors opened. It began when their hearts surrendered and chose to trust me in the place that looked most hopeless. So, my child, do not wait for the skies to split before you believe I am working. Do not wait for a grand sign before you rise. Do not wait for someone to validate your pain before you step into the person I have destined you to be. If I were to tell you that the angel has already begun to move on your behalf, what would you say? He is not acting in chaos or noise, but in the deepest silence of the spirit. He does not arrive with blinding signs meant to overwhelm you, but with subtle shifts that gently pull your soul away from what once held you captive. The devil does not hear it. Hell does not see it. For when I transform a life in silence, no force can steal what I have done. It is the quiet that carries my power. The things born without noise are the very things that cannot be destroyed by the clamor of the world. You have long waited for a grand moment to arrive and change your life, for an event that would make everything finally make sense. For a glorious instant that could lift you to your feet with undeniable strength. But my child, heaven does not operate like a stage on the earth. I do not need an audience. I do not need fireworks. I do not need applause for my wonders to be perfect. What I look for is the truth of your heart. That moment when you stop pretending everything is fine. That moment when you stop bracing yourself before me and before your own soul. That moment when you admit you need new life, a new direction, and the courage to let go of the old name that no longer belongs to you. My child, this rescue does not depend on fleeting emotions. It does not depend on spiritual enthusiasm. It does not depend on the swell of music or the emotion in the air. This is real transformation, the kind that unfolds deep within, in the place only I can see. When heaven enters your silence, the devil has no time to react. When I move quietly, hell has no chance to resist. When I recreate a soul, not through thunder but through the gentlest breath, Satan cannot destroy what I have formed. Silence becomes your armor. Quiet becomes the strategy through which I free you from battles that have drained you until you can barely stand. Do you know why the angel simply looks at you and waits? Because the next step is something only you can take. The angel does not drag you forward like a child forced into the light against their will. He does not push you ahead as if you had no choice. He stands there, patient and steady, watching you as though waiting for your soul to remember it was created for freedom. You have prayed for a breakthrough, but a breakthrough does not come while you remain still. It comes when you decide to rise. You have shed tears for deliverance, but tears only open the path. It is your step that leads you into the freedom I have prepared. So today, I tell you this with all my gentleness and all my power: freedom is a decision, not a feeling, not an emotional surge that makes you cry for a moment. Freedom is when you look at the door I have opened, rise from the ashes of the past, and walk out without turning back. It is when you drop the labels the world once stuck onto you, when you release the old identity that convinced you that you were nothing but failure, weakness, or the brokenness of your past. I call you by another name, a name heaven wrote into your story before you ever knew who you were. My child, now is the time to walk, not rushing, not panicking, but walking like someone who knows they belong to the light. Walking like someone who knows my hand is steady behind them. Walking like someone who no longer needs to prove anything. Because everything that ever needed to be proven, I have already done on your behalf. Step out of shame. Step out of the memories that whispered you were unworthy. Step out of the lies that chained you to pain. Step out of the identity you once thought was yours. Step into the new life where you can breathe, where you can stand tall, where you can believe you are loved with a love that has no conditions. My child, when you walk, heaven walks with you. When you shift, all of heaven shifts with you. And when you choose not to look back, the chains that once held you will fall away as though they never existed. For you are the one I have chosen. You are the story I have written. You are the soul I will never abandon. When you truly step through the door that heaven has opened for you, you will realize something you could not have imagined before. The silence in that moment is not an empty void, but a space overflowing with sacred presence. It is a silence with weight, a silence with breath, a silence infused with a gentle movement from the heavens. It does not echo with thunder or storm to announce change, yet it carries a power strong enough to shake the deepest places of your soul. You step into that silence as though entering a holy chamber where God is at work within you in ways no one can see, no one can interrupt, and no one can replicate. It is there, in that quiet place, that he reaches the wounds you once hid behind smiles, the fears you tried to ignore by staying busy, and the injuries you never dared to uncover because you believed they were too deep to heal. Yet his hand does not tremble when he touches your soul. He is the most skilled, most tender, and most patient healer of all. And now, as you walk out of that door, you do not simply step into freedom like someone whose chains have fallen off. You step forward like a person who has undergone a spiritual surgery that only heaven could perform. You are not only lighter, but clearer, not only freed from the burdens that once pressed upon you, but entrusted with a new wisdom, like your eyes can now see through what once appeared blurry. You have not only been lifted up, you have been anointed with His holiness to walk into the different days ahead. The transformation within you is not loud, but unmistakable. It is like the soft morning light breaking through the clouds, gentle, yet enough for you to know that a new day has truly begun. Many assume that God's silence is a sign of abandonment, but the truth is the exact opposite. When He is silent, He is not distant. He is doing His most delicate work in your soul. When He chooses to move in quietness, it is not because He has forgotten you, but because He is shielding you from pride, from the scrutiny of others, from the applause that could distort the true motives of your heart. That silence is His way of gently touching the places you thought were unreachable, reshaping thought patterns you believed were fixed, and removing internal chains that have held you for so long you mistook them for parts of yourself. He is preparing you for a new life, a new chapter, a new identity. And He chooses to do that work in the space between you and Him, an intimate place known only to the two of you. This moment did not arrive by accident. You are not reading these words by chance. An invisible thread has been stretched from heaven to your heart at the exact moment you have been seeking answers, at the moment you have felt weary, at the moment your soul was on the verge of collapsing under pressure and confusion. These words come like a lifeline lowered into the waters, just as you feel you have nearly run out of strength to keep swimming. Not because you are weak, but because you are entering a season where He wants you to pause long enough to realize that you cannot continue by your own strength, but you also are not meant to fall into despair. You are standing at a threshold where every human heart must choose to believe you are not abandoned. Choose to believe you are still called by name. Choose to keep walking even when your legs are still trembling. There is no moment more fitting than now for you to become everything He called you to be from the very beginning. There is no time more appropriate for you to rise beyond the identities you once carried, identities shaped by shame, by your past, by the words others spoke over you, and by the distorted beliefs you once mistook for truth. This is the moment for you to remember that you were not created to live as a faint shadow of your pain, but as a living reflection of the life of God Himself. When He calls you child, He is making a declaration of worth, not offering a casual description. When He says you are chosen, He is not speaking out of emotion but out of His eternal intention. And when He opens the door of freedom for you, He does not leave it ajar by accident. He throws it wide open so you will know that no chain remains capable of holding you back. There are people who walk through an open door, yet live as though their souls remain bound. There are people who have been rescued, yet still believe they are useless. There are people who have been forgiven, yet continue to cradle guilt as if it were part of their identity. But you no longer belong to any of those things. The silence God used to deliver you was never meant to push you into doubt, but to draw you into humility, steadiness, and clarity. He shields you from pride because He does not want you to imagine that you produced the miracle by your own strength. He keeps things hidden so you will know that this victory belongs to Him and to you, not to the world, not to circumstances, not to human ability. That silence is a gift. It strips away the noise that distracts you and forces your soul to listen more deeply. It presses you into stillness so you can recognize the voice that was never absent, only muffled by the roar of life. In the quiet, you begin to hear the gentle urgings of the Holy Spirit with new clarity. In the quiet, you realize that many things you believed to be random were, in fact, perfectly orchestrated. In the quiet, you understand that your life has never been drifting, but has been guided step by step by one who never errs. Now, as he leads you into a new chapter of your journey, you do not walk as someone merely escaping a crisis, trembling and unsure. You walk as one who has been given a new map, a new identity, and a clarity you did not possess before. You carry freedom, but it is a freedom with depth and purpose. You carry transformation, but it is not a transformation meant merely to make you feel better. It is shaping you into the person you must become for the work He has appointed for you. You carry an anointing, and this anointing was not given simply to encourage you. It was given so that you might reach others just as He has reached you. So, beloved, know this: you are not walking in randomness but in divine arrangement. You are not walking in hesitation but in invitation. You are not walking in trembling but in the breath of the one who is leading you. There has never been a more fitting moment for you to become the person He destined you to be. And He is here, even within the silence itself, to walk with you through every step that follows. Step in, step out, move forward. Your time has come. You only need to follow the light unfolding before you. He will take care of the rest. Beloved child, listen deeply within yourself, for in this very moment I am calling your name. It is not a vague invitation echoing from some distant place, but a clear summons spoken by the one who formed you with purpose and meaning. You are not a passerby in my design, not a background figure in a story larger than you. You are the one I placed in the right moment, the right space, the right stream of spiritual history to become a vessel of light upon the earth. You have been chosen not because of ability, not because of perfection, but because of my will and my love for you. No one can deny this, not even the fear within you. And because you have been chosen, you are invited to step onto the path. We began together a path that leads to freedom, to clarity, and a deep transformation of the soul. This path requires that you do not return to the old noise. Do not sink back into the shadows that once imprisoned you. Do not retreat into the worn-out patterns you used to know. Once you have seen the light, you can no longer pretend that the darkness is where you belong. There is something I need from you on this journey, something more than simply opening your ears to listen. Listening is the beginning, but responding is what brings transformation. A message only becomes life when the one who hears it opens their mouth to answer and allows their feet to follow its direction. When you hear my voice, when you sense that stirring deep within, and when you choose to act upon it, that is the moment you become a bearer of my truth. And that truth is never meant to stop with you. It is designed to flow through you like living water spreading across barren ground, refreshing the souls who are weary and desperate for hope. Every person I choose is called not only to receive but also to carry. The light I placed within you was never meant to be hidden as a private secret. It was meant to shine into dark corners, to warm the hearts that have grown cold, and to awaken those who have long been drifting in forgetfulness. What I am placing into your hands is not a burden but a sacred commission. The world may see it as a heavy responsibility, but in my eyes, it is a profound honor, an honor reserved for those I trust to bring my truth into the world. You are not merely a recipient, you are a partner. You are not just someone who has been saved, you are someone who has been sent. When you lift your voice to speak what I have placed inside your heart, when you become a voice of healing, a voice of strength, a voice of hope, the heavens themselves will labor alongside you. The words you speak in my name will not be hollow. will not be meaningless, will not vanish into emptiness. They will become seeds planted in the hearts of others, and in their appointed time, they will bear fruit. My child, there is something of utmost importance you must understand for my truth to spread and reach the ones who desperately need it. I need people willing to rise and carry it. I need hearts that know how to listen and how to obey. I need feet that are willing to walk into the places others fear, and voices that dare to speak where silence has lingered for far too long. The movement of my kingdom is not only made of miracles and angels, it flows through people who open themselves to me, and you are one of them. When you respond to my call, when you choose to stand firm in my truth amid a world filled with noise, confusion, and deception, you open a new space within your own life, a space where peace can enter, where clarity can shine, and where breakthroughs long awaited by your soul can finally unfold. Every time you choose to partner with me, you draw closer the blessings that have been waiting for you in the heavenly realm. You clear away the places that were once crowded with fear, so that I may fill them with freedom. You open the doors of your inner world so I can pour into you the things I prepared long before you were formed in your mother's womb. You may think what you do is small, one act of response, one word spoken, one moment of sharing, one choice to stand with the light. But in the spiritual realm, nothing is small. A single beam of light can chase away the thickest darkness. A single honest word spoken from your heart can become the key that breaks an invisible chain holding someone else captive. When you stand firm, you do not stand only for yourself. You stand for countless souls whose names you will never know. But heaven knows them, and heaven knows that your voice will reach them through the countless ways I have arranged. And my child, as you continue walking with me, as you allow my truth to go before your lips, as you support this sacred work with your faithfulness and sincerity, you will witness your own transformation deepening. You will see that the fears which once bound you no longer hold the same power. You will notice that the shame which once suffocated your soul dissolves like morning mist under the rising sun. You will feel your heart softening, expanding, shining, and what you once believed was weakness will become the very place where I build your strength. This transformation will not come through spectacle, thunder, or flashes of sudden glory. It comes through quiet faithfulness each day, through your willingness to keep speaking my words, to keep carrying the light, to keep standing with me in all circumstances. When you do this, you sow into your own life something far greater than anything you could have imagined. You place your very self into my hands, and when a person sows themselves into me, they reap things far beyond the measure of human understanding. Here is my word to you today: you do not walk alone. You do not carry this calling as a weight upon your back. You need only take small steps, but take them with sincerity, with faith, with willingness, and I will open the way. I will give grace. I will send your voice to the places it needs to go. I will set your feet upon ground you never believed you could step onto, and I will use your life to bring healing, unity, awakening, and restoration to more people than you can imagine. My beloved child, remember this: none of this is accidental. None of it is incidental. This is a moment I have appointed. There is no better time than now for you to become everything I have called you to be. You are chosen to walk in the light. You are called to speak the truth. You are guided to become an echo of my love upon the earth. And when you step into this calling, you are not only becoming the person I destined you to be, you are helping others find their way back to me. Keep walking. Keep speaking. Keep believing. Let your heart remain open so my light can flow through every word you release. Because when you do this, you are not merely living, you are glorifying my name. And all of heaven will stand with you in every breath you take, every choice you make, and every step you brave. My called one, as you continue to walk on the path of light that I began with you, you will start to notice that certain moments in your life become unusually quiet. It is not because life has disappeared, but because heaven has lowered its volume so you can hear my voice more clearly. You may not see an immediate sign, nor hear thunder rolling or lightning tearing across the sky. But know this, every step you take is being upheld by my unseen hand. You were called out of darkness not to return to the roads you once knew, not to sink back into the noise that once drowned out the true voice of your soul, but to step into the awakening, the understanding, and the clarity that I prepared for you long before you knew how to call my name. This is not a temporary invitation. It is a sacred covenant, a promise that when you answer me, heaven will open paths that no one but you was meant to walk. When you begin to practice quiet obedience, when you make small decisions birthed from faith rather than fear, you are opening doors for yourself that you once believed were only meant for others. Every whisper I plant in your heart carries a purpose, and every step you take in response to that whisper unlocks a profound transformation in your soul and in your life. You were called not only to hear, not only to receive, but to take an active place in my plan for this world. You were called to rise with strength, to carry light into places long oppressed by darkness, to declare my truth in an era where many have forgotten the gentle whisper of heaven. Do you know what happens when a soul truly responds? When a person does more than feel stirred, when they choose to act, that is when heaven takes record. That is the moment when divine resources begin to move. When a heart says, I am ready, I want to walk in what you have spoken. Then from above, things that once seemed distant, impossible, or far too great for a human life begin to take form in their reality. You are standing in that very moment now, and I want you to recognize it, not so you fear, not so you feel overwhelmed by a burden too heavy, but so you understand that you are stepping into a holy work, the same work to which countless souls throughout history have been invited. You are carrying light, and that light is not meant for you alone. It shines through you onto those I long to save. My beloved, it is not random that you feel something stirring inside, a sense that you are meant to do more than what you see, to speak what is right, even when many choose silence, to lift the weak, even when you are unsure of your own strength. These urgings do not come from your mind, they are seeded by me. I am placing within you a new rhythm, a divine prompting that calls you out of hiding and shapes you into a vessel of light. When you choose to support my work, when you help this message go forth, when you decide to become a bearer of truth, you are doing far more than you realize. You are creating room in your own life for the light I give to pour out more abundantly, more clearly, and more powerfully. This is not an empty promise, it is a spiritual law. Whoever upholds the light will be upheld by the light in return. I see the places in your soul that once lay shattered, the years you spent trying to earn acceptance, trying not to drown beneath the demands of life, trying not to be swallowed by a loneliness no one ever saw. I know every wound you hid behind your smile. I know the nights you lay awake staring at the ceiling, quietly wondering whether your life had been written for something more beautiful than what you were living. My child, hear me today. Your story was written long before you ever saw your first light in this world, and I did not write it with fear, but with purpose, not with failure, but with hope, not with darkness, but with the radiance that flows from my throne. And because your story was written with light, your calling is not something you invented for yourself. It does not spring from personal ambition. It flows from a truth rooted in the highest realms of heaven. You are not merely a reader, a listener, or someone waiting for a miracle. You are the one chosen to carry miracles to those who need them. You are the one entrusted with the mission of awakening hearts that have fallen asleep, calling them back to the light they lost in the noise and burdens of life. You are the vessel I desire to use to lead many souls out of confusion, not by your own strength, but by the truth I have placed within you. But to become a bearer of light, you must give an answer. No one else can answer on your behalf. I do not force you to feel a certain way. I do not demand that you change instantly. I honor your will. Yet I also tell you the truth. There are moments you cannot afford to let slip away. For the windows of heaven do not stay open forever. When I touch you, when I call you, when I invite you into what I have prepared, that moment is not random. It is the intersection of heaven and earth, the instant when a single decision can alter the entire direction of your life, the moment when even the smallest act of obedience shakes the unseen realm. And you are standing precisely in such a moment now. I know you have feared that you are not good enough to be used. You thought you needed to be whole first, to fix every problem, to heal every wound before stepping into your purpose. But hear me clearly, no one walks into my calling in a state of perfection. Those I use most powerfully are those who have known deep brokenness. Those I send carry the scars of the battles they survived. I am not waiting for you to become flawless. I am choosing you as you are still learning, still rising, still finding your footing. It is your honesty, your tears, your dependence on me that form the true strength of your calling. Let this truth sink deeply into your soul. You were not called to live an ordinary life. You were called to bring light into places where darkness has settled for far too long. You were called to speak what is right when others remain silent. You were called to stand firm when everything around you trembles. You were called to be a clear, living stream in the desert that so many people wander through. You were called to carry hope into the places where hope has died. And as you walk in this calling, you will find yourself lifted by a strength you never knew you had. When you answer me, you open a new chapter in your life. A chapter in which you are no longer the one searching for miracles, but the one who carries them. You are no longer the observer watching from the sidelines. You become the one who steps onto the battlefield of the unseen, bearing the anointing of heaven. You are no longer just a hearer of the truth. You become the voice that delivers that truth to souls hungry for it. You are no longer just a receiver of light. You become a source of it. And as you walk with me day by day, step by step, through every small decision, you will begin to recognize the transformation unfolding within you. You will feel your heart grow softer, yet stronger. Your mind will become clearer, yet more humble. The things that once discouraged you will lose their power. The fears that once made you tremble will no longer hold you captive. For when you walk in my calling, you cannot remain unchanged. You will be continually renewed, strengthened, expanded, and filled. My beloved one, I invite you to step forward without retreating, without hesitating, without lingering in uncertainty. I invite you to say yes to what I am placing before you. I invite you to become the bearer of truth that many souls are longing for. I invite you to become the hand through which I will touch the lives crying out for salvation. I invite you to become the voice I will use to awaken the hearts that have fallen asleep in the shadows of despair. And when you step into this invitation, you will discover something I have always known, that you were created for this, that your soul was designed to carry light, to carry healing, to carry life. Rise, my child. Walk forward. Let your heart answer this holy invitation. The time has come. The window of heaven is open. The light is guiding your path. And I am waiting for you to step into everything I have prepared for you since ages past. You do not walk alone. I am walking with you. And from the very moment you say yes, your life will never be the same again. Now pray as follows, Lord. I open my heart before you in this very moment, asking that you guide my steps through the crossroads of life so that I will no longer turn into the dark paths my soul once clung to out of fear. Lead me into the radiant way where your truth shines like the morning sun, so that every thought, every action, and every breath may fall into its rightful place within the noble purpose you ordained long before today. Help me to understand that light does not come only when I am strong, but comes even when I am trembling and unsure of where to begin. Today, let my spirit stand firm in your light. Lord, place your hand upon my soul, upon all its unrest, upon the quiet whispers of worry, upon the unsteady rhythms of a heart that has struggled far too long. Grant me a peace not built upon circumstances but grounded in your presence, a peace not easily stolen by human words or unexpected storms. Let that peace spread like a gentle breeze, soothing the places I have been afraid to touch and restoring the fragments I once believed were lost forever. Teach me to rest in your embrace. Lord, into your hands I surrender every burden I can no longer carry, every unseen chain that has pulled me backward, every fear that has halted my steps, every memory that has kept me confined in the shadows. Cut away every bond that has held my soul captive, so that I may step into freedom, not the kind of freedom I must strive to earn, but the freedom you give as a gift from heaven. Break every lie that has caused me to question my worth, and lift me into the wide, spacious place you have prepared for me. Lord, I ask you to place within me a quiet yet unshakable strength, a strength that helps me stand firm when trials come, a strength that keeps my heart from breaking no matter how fiercely the opposing winds blow. Teach me to find my power in your presence, rather than in my own abilities or successes. Grant me the courage to step through the new doors you open and the patience to wait upon you in seasons of stillness. Lord, touch the places in me that no one else can reach, the wounds of my past that I have hidden in silence, the fears I mask with false strength, the hidden corners known only to you. Pour your healing like living water into the parched soil of my soul, softening my heart, making it safe, radiant, and capable of loving you and others with a love that no longer wounds. Heal me in the way only you can. Lord, open the eyes of my spirit so that I may perceive what I have never understood, so that I can discern your voice from the voice of fear, and choose the path that leads to life instead of the worn trail leading to darkness. Grant me wisdom to resist reacting to fleeting emotions, and to wait patiently to hear your guidance before stepping forward. Give me a sensitive heart so that I do not overlook the signs you send in my daily life. Lord, help me to surrender to you with a wholehearted heart, not merely with words. Teach me to release what I cling to out of fear of loss, and to hold tightly what you place in my hands. Let surrender not be fear, but rest, not loss, but elevation, not defeat, but the beginning of a deeper journey with you. Lord, I know that you called my name before the morning of creation and carefully, lovingly wrote the purpose of my life. Do not let me live a fated existence or miss what you have ordained. Lead me to the right place at the right time, and beside the people you have placed in my life to fulfill your plan. Make my life a lamp that brings light into the deepest darkness. Lord, place in me a heart that obeys your call even when I do not understand the full story. Teach me to walk each step in faithfulness, so that every step is a word of yes to you. Do not let me give up when I cannot yet see the results, but grant me hope to persevere and faithfulness to remain on the path you have set before me. Above all, Lord, I ask only to draw nearer to you each day. I want to know you not merely through stories, rituals, or vague memories, but through your living, tangible presence. Let my heart learn to hear each of your breaths, follow each step you take, and love you not for what you do, but because you are the one who loved me first. May this closeness become the very breath and life of my being. I lift this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.